Welcome back, my butterfly kaleidoscope, to One Hook, Two Hands. This is Sarah, the creator behind One Hook, Two Hands, and today we are going to be finishing our gilded loop crochet blanket. If you are new here, welcome. I like to call my subscribers butterflies because they bring me hope and joy, just like each and every one of you. And kaleidoscope because, as you saw in the beginning of the video, that's what butterflies do. They twirl and they pick each other up and then they kind of land and take off together. And so that's how I like to imagine you guys coming and landing. And guys, what do you think of the new intro? I hope that went well. I'm still trying to figure out, who knows if I've actually managed to get music under it or not at the time of this recording, but we'll see. But I am glad you are here. If you watched my Holloway video a 2 weeks ago, the bonus one that I did about Gilded Loop Crochet's contest, you kind of know what we're going to talk about today. But if you haven't heard, Gilded Loop Crochet, Matt over at Gilded Loop Crochet, has done this contest in conjunction with Premier to do a drive for foster kid blankets. So the challenge was you had to buy one box of the Premier anti-pilling yarn. If you needed to, you could buy one extra skein of yarn to do the border, and then you had to use every color, and then you have to postmark the blanket no later than July 20th. So, excuse me, guys. I'm going to try this talking. We'll probably do more watching me crochet than we will talking, but I wanted to get this video recorded because of the July 20th deadline. Total time this has taken me to get the yarn and make the blanket was about 2.5 weeks. So there's almost 3-4 weeks at this point left in the time to make the blanket. So if there's still time for you to join, excuse me, guys, my system is kind of crazy. If you're new, I do have a chronic illness. I got glutenized, and my system has been rebelling ever since. And I'll just leave it there. So if I'm burp or I yawn, all the things, I just apologize. No. But so I will post this video down below explaining the contest. I'm really excited because it's blankets for foster kids, guys. I have a heart for kids. Um, you know, I'm single, and because of my health, I can't really be a foster parent, but I have been the foster auntie to a lot of kids, a lot of people who have adopted kids. As their friend, I have helped pour into the lives of those kids, and so I am really passionate about it. And if for some reason I was ever able to be a parent, foster parent, it would happen in an instant. Like, I think there's so much we can do to help, and little things like this aren't so little, because most of these parents are getting kids a week or two after they're born. Some are getting them a little later, and you don't know what that kid has been through. But something as simple as a blanket, especially something handmade, can make all the difference in the world. And so if you've got time in the next 2.5 weeks, um, it costs me, I think, total $40, $42 and something, plus when you include shipping and all of that, to get the yarn to me. And you know, to buy the yarn, get it here. Like I said, it's taken me about 2.5 weeks to make this blanket, and I'm just super excited for the child that will receive this. I've been praying over them and praying and hope that this finds them and that they find their forever family if they need it, or they're able to return. And it's that this moment that they get that they're in foster care is not traumatic for them, and that this will bring them comfort and a little bit of joy, and that this will be something that they will have with them for a long time. Um, I, like I said, I have absolutely enjoyed making this. Guys, I'm sorry. Um, but it's the real part of my life. Um, if you saw my little short the other day, you know, I've been using the squares from our book, both the big and the small squares from the book, our Granny Square book, to make this blanket. And guys, it has turned out so good. Today, you're going to just see me doing the border for the most part, but um, it has turned out so good. And there's a couple squares I'm really excited to show you. So, first off, what inspired this whole blanket is in the Granny Square book. It has this rainbow square pattern. And I absolutely love it. They did a lot of back post or back loop only, sorry, back loop only stitches, and so it has a little bit of texture to it, and you actually sew on the clouds, so it again is just another element of for them to touch and feel, which I love. And that made me really look for squares that kind of had some sort of raised element or some sort of textural thing, because I think that's really important for kids, especially if a toddler gets this blanket instead of just a baby, but also for comfort. And so I then chose these squares on either side to with these bumps, which I absolutely love the square. I'll be making this square a lot more. They did a lot of carrying the yarn in this one, so when we get there and showing how to do the squares in our book, um, you'll absolutely love that. Next up, because we had a rainbow, I decided to do sort of Noah's Ark, like Noah's Ark after it landed, um, theme. So we have both animals and we have plants and flowers on this blanket. And so there wasn't a Noah's Ark pattern, but I kind of used the rainbow pattern itself and recreated this Noah's Ark square. And again, I love that it is a little textural. And then I chain slip stitched, surface chained onto this square to kind of give the outline of the arc. So there's my attempt at an arc. The other squares in that row is this pretty rainbow flower, and then I did a different one, but with of these, but I did it so one of these is in white and one is in cream. I don't think you can really tell that on camera, but there's that. And then I picked up the animals. So the book has all these cute animal squares. So this is an elephant, and like I said, turned out so good. I'm gonna kind of move you a little closer, so hopefully the light helps. But there's the elephant, and then Mr. Lion, which I love. I love the lion. It's so textural, and it's just like something fun, and I hope that really helps bring comfort. And then we've got Mr. Hippo and Mr. Giraffe. His nose is a little harder to see. And then Mr. Zebra. And I love all of these squares. They're very textural. Now, I will say the animals did give me a little bit of a headache because there were a lot of sewing in ends because there were different pieces like the ears, horns, and then any spots or muzzles you had to put on them. But they're so fun and they're so just, again, it's a textural thing. So from there, I decided to add flowers kind of in the same rows. And so I did my favorite squares when I was working on um, my niece's blanket. I found I picked my favorite flowers from that one, so I did this one and the puffy one, because again, I started going for textural and feel stuff, and this is one of the favorite soft ones, and I love how that turned out. And then I did a couple of flat ones, like this one. Also did this flower, this like, which this one will be coming soon too. I love this one. And then these roses, which are also one of my favorites as well. And then on the bottom and top, because I was halfway going through the um Noah's Ark theme, I went with a sun. Now this at this point I was kind of running out of yarn, so it had a darker background than probably I would have chosen for this square had I had enough yarn. But I do like the way it turned out. Just maybe would have used some different colored yarns. Then on the top, I did this rose square. Now, again, this kind of became a necessity of how much yarn I had left, but I'm not sure I would have done one with this big of gaps, honestly. Um, but I was quickly running out of yarn. I will show you guys my favorite square absolutely last, but then I did 4 really scrappy granny squares. And I say really scrappy because it looks intentional a little bit when you see them. However, the reason that they are so multicolored is because this girl was running out of yarn and all I had was yarn scraps left. But I was able to kind of get yellow as the border on each of them. So it does kind of look intentional. But y'all, it was not intentional. It was what I had left. I was playing Yarn Chicken to the fullest with this project. And to give my point, I'm not done the border just yet. We're going to do that while I'm recording this video. However, all the yarn that I have left, even from the extra skein, is this much. It is not a very big skein left to do the border. However, I was playing Yarn Chicken and I was playing Yarn Chicken hard. So, the animals did take up a lot, to be fair, because there was a lot of sewing with them and all those things, and so it took up a lot more than I would have preferred. And so that yarn bingo, push my luck. Now, to the square that I was uber excited to show you, there will be a tutorial coming out because y'all, I designed it. Put it together, and it's super simple, super fun. But oh, I'm so excited because for our 1-year anniversary, which is July 29th, you will be getting a butterfly square tutorial, a granny square that I made. I am so excited. It turned out so good. And yes, you can put a little bit more embellishment on it. Again, I'm thinking about doing a little design on the wings. However, again, this was kind of a Yarn Chicken thing, but it's so pretty. And so I've got a blue one here, and I did it in all 4 corners. So this is my butterflies garden blanket. And then we've got this orange one. And we've got this gray one. This gray one. And then the first one that started it all, the purple one. So, and I love it because this yarn is really soft. This anti-pilling yarn is really soft. And so it turned absolutely great. But guys, this blanket is so cool. So I'm going to add a little clip in here where you get to see the full thing because I want to take it, give it a little distance, and then take a really good full reveal after I do the border. But now it's time to get started on the border, and I will see you back here in just a little bit. Alright guys, so I've started by doing just a half double crochet row around, trying to even it out. I think what I'm going to do, because this is how much yarn I've got left, again I'm playing yarn chicken, but I am going to do another half double crochet row and then do a chain one slip stitch to the opposite in the reverse border, because one of my big concerns always with baby and children blankets is I don't want to cause choking hazards or frustrations. I want this to be used. I want this to be loved, and I want it to be used. And so, and not just a pretty piece that hangs in the background somewhere. So in order to do that, and that's why this is the one square. And again, the light wants to go out. Guys, I apologize. My light is doing something funky, and I'm just trying to get enough light to get these videos done. See if I can't make it behave for a minute. Like I said, I do apologize, but I am trying here. But this is the one square that I am a little nervous about because of how big the gaps are. I try to avoid that on baby blankets, huge gaps. Another yawn. But we are playing yarn chicken, and we are going to have this thing finished. So like I said, for that, so for the border, I'm going to do another half double crochet row and then a chain slip stitch, chain one slip stitch in the next stitch, border around, because it looks pretty and also looks like it's finished. However, it doesn't have a lot of hanging pieces off of it. So I will see you to show you the final result when we get that done. All right, it is time for the big reveal. And did I roll it up the wrong way? I did, but you know what? I'll unroll it and then we'll flip it. But I'm really excited to show this to you. And I'm going to show you a couple of the different squares a little up close. I do apologize for the lighting. Normally I do my reveals outside. However, the weather and some live stuff, I'm kind of jerry rigging this, so hopefully this works. So 3, 2, 1. And there is our blanket for our contest. So as you can see, again, these are the butterfly squares that I love so much. And then you got this one over here. You got the lion and the rainbow and several flowers and the elephant and the zebra and the giraffe and the rhino and more of our butterflies. So that's the blanket. And I'm going to get back over to the couch. But while I'm doing that, I want you to pause the video and type down below whether you think I won yarn chicken on the first time or not. And if I did or didn't, how many times it took me. All right, see you guys at the couch. All right, we are back at the couch. The lights are what they are, guys. I'm trying to do my best with the one on the fritz and being inside a little bit more than I normally would. So that's the blanket. How many times do you think I guessed I had to do it? And how many times do you think I had to redo the final rows? The answer is none. I did manage on the final pass to have a yarn chicken that I only had this much yarn left. So I did manage to get 2 half double crochet rows and the chain 1 slip stitch 1 border done, but I was this close to having it. But the cool thing is these anti-pilling boxes of the Everyday DK means you can do a more intricate, for lack of a better term, blanket for a baby or a toddler. Because again, I only had to do 4 filler squares, which are the granny squares. But overall, I was able to do squares that are kind of fairly intricate. And if I wasn't doing the animals, I probably could have done a few more. But because of all the tying on and sewing on that you had to do with the animals. But overall, not bad. So it was 1 box of the anti-pilling Everyday DK plus an additional skein of yarn. So that's what it took to do this blanket. And I'm really excited for it. And I will get this mailed out in the next week. And so I really hope to see yours. I am encouraging you. There is still enough time. We're about 23, 24 days away from the deadline. So there's still plenty of time for you to order it and get it in. I did this in about 2.5 weeks. So I'm just encouraging everybody because ultimately all of these blankets are going to foster kids. And I really, really want to emphasize, I would love to see more and more of you doing blankets to help support this foster kid and foster families drive by Matt over at Gilda Loop Crochet. Again, everything will be linked in the description box down below, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, my butterflies!